Doctor, always a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us. Do tell us, what kind of medical attention is Mr. McGowan exactly seeking at this stage?
Good afternoon, Alicia. You know, we cannot mention confidential information regarding a patient, but it's the doctor said it's nothing fatal. It's not it's very serious, but they're taking precautions since it's come from the desert, being there for the last 6 years. So they have advised earlier this morning, when we spoke to the family, the doctors gave the clearance for him to come to the press conference. Just a little while ago, when the doctors came to the hospital, to see him, they had some results which they had done from the laboratory. And initially they thought they can send him, but then 3 doctors got together and the consensus was it's rather safer to keep him in hospital and to delay him coming to meet us and to do it at a slightly later stage for his own sake. So we've waited and we said, all right, we'll wait for a few days later. We don't want to impose on him. We don't want to complicate his health situation. But Stephen was very keen to come. Whilst I was speaking to his wife, he said he's prepared to come. He was getting off the bed and wanted to come. But the doctors advised not to do that.
All right. Now, Doctor, let's talk about his release. We know that your organization was very instrumental in negotiating his release. Tell us exactly what the process involved and, of course, versus what the role that government played. We want to understand the role of the gift of the givers in negotiating for Mr. McGowan's release.
Mr. McGowan came to us just after Yolani Koki was released in January 2014. And he said to me, he's making no headway on the case. There's no progress in finding his son. But he also said that he knows we're busy with the release of Pierre Koki and Pierre Koki's case, so he doesn't want to interfere at that point. He said he will come back to me after Pierre Koki is released and we will speak. After Pierre Koki passed on 6 December 2014, I sent somebody into Mauritania because we have no office, no representation in Mali. It was very, very complicated. We achieved nothing by sending somebody to Mauritania. In June of 2015, there was a video clip, a live video clip showing, a proof of live video showing Stephen. And I called Malcolm and I said, this video tells me that somebody wants to talk. And that's where we started. Our aim, our role was to find the captors because nobody had found them in 4 years. So we found a negotiator, sent him into the area to find people who can lead them to intermediaries who can connect with the captors. And within 6 weeks, we found them. That was our role, to open the gap between the captors, the family, and government. At that point, we were in touch with the government, and for the last 2 years, the South African government and us have been in touch all the time, discussing, and they very clearly said we should do the business on the ground, and the final part they have to do, because the captors and the intermediaries told us when it comes to the final stages, whether there's an agreement or not an agreement, either way, the government has to get involved, South Africa to Mali, state security to state security, because as part of the release, if that happens, you require an armed escort, you require military, you require maybe a helicopter, and maybe you require a private plane. Those kind of things we can't do. No, so that's when the government gets involved, but we were doing this together for the last 2 years.
All right. Now, Doctor, I don't know what you can tell us around the release agreement, but I want you to clarify this specifically for us, because there's been news now all day that have mushroomed that apparently there was a cash ransom that was paid to the militants that had been holding Mr. McGowan hostage. Is this true? Do you know of any cash ransom? Because as we know it, the South African government does not entertain any sort of request for cash ransoms.
That article is very strange, Alicia, because it says a French guy was involved. It also says that my organization was involved in that money. First of all, for me to take that money across, I got to send somebody across. And the only person we send across is our negotiator, because he's of Mali origin. He hasn't left South Africa in the last 4 months. So I don't know who they're talking about. Secondly, in the last 2 years that we and the government have been dealing, the only government we've met is the Swedish government. When I said we, the government met the Swedish, our government met the Swedish government, and I met the Swedish family. So there was no contact with any other government, no mention of French government anywhere in the last 2 years. Thirdly, the captors told us, and the intermediary told us very, very clearly, that if you deal with the French anywhere along the line, the negotiations are over. Fourthly, if we were going to pay money, why didn't we pay it 6 years ago?
Yeah.
Why did we wait for Beverly McGowan to pass on. We should have just paid it 6 years ago, or last year, or in the beginning of this year. Why wait till now? So to me, that story doesn't make any sense. There are ways of taking captors out without paying money.
Doctor, thank you so much for that clarification. And of course, we're once again hailing you for your great work there. That is Dr. Imtiaz Sooliman of the Gift of the Givers. And he's just clarified to us that he knows nothing about the reported ransom cash of money that was reportedly paid to those Al-Qaeda militants that had taken Mr. McGowan. That's SABC News for you. We bring you the news live from the horse's mouth.